The morning sun bathed Erythra's silver-leaf forest in soft gold, casting long shadows across the blue grass. The air was filled with the scent of flowers and fresh dew. After days of bonding, learning, and surviving threats together, Liam and Zyra were no longer just allies. They were partners in every sense of the word. Liam stretched, adjusting his gear as Zyra approached. She carried a basket of glowing fruits, offering one to him with a soft smile. "Good morning," he said, taking the fruit. "Ready for today?" She nodded, her golden eyes shining with excitement. "Yes, show." The village. Recognition of their bond, the villagers gathered in the central square, curious and respectful. The elder stepped forward, speaking solemnly in their melodic language. Liam didn't understand every word, but he understood the tone blessing. Recognition and acceptance. Zyra took Liam's hand and stood beside him. The gesture alone spoke volumes. She had chosen him, and he had chosen her. The villagers acknowledged the bond, nodding, murmuring among themselves with approval. The elder approached and placed his hands over theirs, a symbolic gesture of connection, blessing the unity of two worlds, human and alien. Liam looked down at Zyra, feeling the weight of her small hand in his. "We'll protect this together," he said softly. Zyra nodded, smiling. Together, always. A day of celebration, the village erupted into a quiet celebration. Like humans, the aliens did not use loud music or fireworks. Instead, they danced in soft patterns, moving in harmony with the wind, the trees, and each other. Zyra guided Liam through the steps, her movements flowing and graceful at first. Liam stumbled, tripping over the glowing vines that marked the path, but Zyra's hands guided him. Her laughter rang softly, blending with the melody of the forest. By the end, he moved almost in rhythm with her. The villagers cheered. For Liam, it was more than a dance, it was a symbol of their bond. Human strength and courage combined with alien grace and instinct. Together, they were unstoppable, teaching and sharing knowledge. After the celebration, Liam and Zyra walked through the village, teaching others what they had learned from each other. Liam demonstrated human tools, simple ways to improve defenses, and methods of gathering and storing food efficiently. Zyra, in turn, showed the villagers how to use their instincts to sense danger, read subtle changes in the environment, and communicate silently when needed. Children followed them eagerly, mimicking Liam's gestures and Zyra's graceful movements. The villagers began to see how humans and aliens could learn from each other, how their strengths complemented one another. By the end of the day, the village had grown stronger, not just in defense, but in spirit. Liam and Zyra's bond had become an example of unity, cooperation, and mutual respect. Exploring the deeper connection that evening, Liam and Zyra sat by a stream outside the village. The water reflected the twin moons of Erythra, casting a soft, magical glow around them. "You've grown," Liam said quietly, looking at Zyra, not just in skill, but in understanding. Zyra touched his chest, the gesture she had been using since the beginning of their bond. "You too," she replied. "See, my world, learn with me." He smiled. "I never thought I could, but I feel part of it now, part of your world and mine." Her golden eyes glimmered. "Bond. True." Liam nodded, realizing that this bond was no longer about instinct or survival. It was deeper. Mutual respect, trust, care, and understanding. A true connection that could withstand danger, uncertainty, and the unknown. A thread appears again event. As they celebrated and bonded, Liam knew the universe was never truly safe. From the horizon, he spotted movement ships descending slowly. Through the atmosphere, he frowned. Zyra noticed it too, her instincts alerting her. "They hunters?" she asked, tense. "Maybe," Liam said, gripping his rifle. "But this time, we're ready." Together, they gathered the villagers. Liam trained them in strategies that combined human tactics with Zyra's instinctive awareness. They set up defensive positions, communicated silently, and coordinated movements with a precision that could rival any professional army. When the attackers landed, they were met not with fear, but with a united front. Humans, aliens, and their combined strategies made them formidable. Liam and Zyra fought side by side, their bond evident in every glance, every movement. Zyra signaled dangers with subtle gestures. Liam acted instantly. Every shot he fired, every maneuver he made, was in perfect sync with her instincts. The attackers were forced to retreat. Realizing this village was stronger than anticipated, unity across worlds after the battle. The village celebrated quietly again. Liam looked at Zyra and smiled. "We did it. Together." She nodded, her golden eyes soft. Together, always. He realized then that their bond had become more than a connection between two individuals. It was a bridge between worlds, human and alien, instinct and logic, courage and grace. Their unity had strengthened the village and would protect it for years to come. Liam took Zyra's hand and led her to a hill overlooking the village. The twin moons were rising, casting a soft, serene light. "Zyra," he said, "we've faced danger, learned from each other, and grown together. Whatever comes next, we face it as one." Her golden eyes glimmered with trust and joy. Yes, one. A symbol of their bond, the elder approached them one last time, carrying a carved crystal. He handed it to Liam, then to Zyra. The crystal glowed softly, a symbol of protection, trust, and unity. Liam held it carefully. "I'll protect this, and everything it stands for," he said. Zyra pressed her hand against his, and the crystal glowed brighter. Together, however, she said the villagers watched silently, understanding the depth of the bond between human and alien. Liam and Zyra had become not just partners, but a symbol, living proof that humans and aliens could unite, learn from each other, and thrive together. Looking to the future, as night fell, Liam and Zyra sat on the hill, looking out over the village. In the forest beyond, stars glittered above, and the air was calm and serene. "We've learned so much," Liam said. "About each other. About trust. About courage." Zyra nodded. "We ready? Whatever comes." He smiled, resting his hand over hers. "Then let's face it together. Always." Her golden eyes shone with determination and warmth. Always. The first time, Liam felt completely at home on this alien world. With Zyra by his side, he knew they could face anything. The bond they had formed was unbreakable, not just instinct or emotion, but understanding, respect, and care. They had discovered a truth across worlds, that connection, trust, courage could unite even the most different beings. And under the glow of the twin moons, human and alien, bonded in heart and spirit, knew that together they could face any challenge the universe would throw at them. The morning after the battle was calm, almost surreal. The silver-leafed trees shimmered in the sunlight, and the blue grass swayed gently in the breeze. Birds with iridescent feathers chirped in the distance, and the streams reflected the sky, like glass. The village, though scarred from the previous night's attack, was quiet and peaceful. Liam stood at the edge of the forest, looking over the damage. Huts had been damaged, some walls broken, and scorch marks from the hunters' weapons were scattered across the blue grass. But the villagers were alive, unharmed. Zyra appeared beside him, her golden eyes scanning the horizon. She was calmer than the night before, but her expression was thoughtful. "Good morning," Liam said softly, glancing at her. "You rested well?" She nodded, but did not smile. Instead, she gestured toward the village and then to him, as if asking, "Now what?" Understood. The battle had changed something between them. They had fought side by side. They had protected each other. Now, they had to figure out what it meant, what the bond really meant. Teaching and learning for the next several days. Liam decided to focus not just on survival and protection, but on understanding. He wanted Zyra to understand human emotions fully, and he wanted to learn more about her instincts and traditions. He began with the simplest things: words, gestures, how humans express care and trust. "See," Liam said, pointing to a small plant growing near the stream. "We nurture things. We water them. We care for them. It's like caring for someone. Slowly, every day. Zyra crouched to examine the plant. She touched its leaves gently, then looked at Liam. She repeated his gestures carefully, mimicking the way he cared for the plant. Liam nodded with approval. "You're learning fast," he said. Her eyes sparkled. She pointed at her chest and then at him, looping her fingers together in the gesture she had made before, a sign of connection in her culture. Liam realized she was trying to merge the human lessons with her own instincts. Sharing stories that evening, Liam sat by the fire with Zyra. He told her stories of Earth, of humans, and of his childhood. He spoke simply, using gestures and expressions to make the meanings clear. Zyra listened intently, occasionally tilting her head or laughing softly at a funny moment. Then it was her turn. Zyra described her childhood in the alien village, the traditions she had followed, and the way her species chose partners. Liam did not understand every word, but he understood the emotions: joy, pride, and a longing for understanding. When she spoke of her instincts, Liam realized how strong and natural they were. Her species bonded deeply, instinctively. She had chosen him not out of mere curiosity, but out of that ancient, unspoken need. He reached out and held her hand, careful not to pressure her. "I understand now," he said softly. "You didn't just pick me. You saw me, and I see you too." Her golden eyes widened slightly. She leaned closer, resting her head near his shoulder. For a moment, they were silent, connected by something beyond words. Trust in action. A week later, the hunters returned. Liam had expected it, but this time he was prepared. The villagers had reinforced their defenses, and Liam had trained several of them in human combat techniques. When the hunters approached, Liam and Zyra led the village defense. It was different from the first attack this time. They moved as one. Liam covered the flanks while Zyra guided the villagers using her instincts, signaling threats before humans could see them. During the fight, Zyra pressed her hand to Liam's chest as a signal not of fear, but of coordination. Liam understood immediately. They were connected, sensing each other's movements and intentions. Together they moved with perfect timing. The hunters were forced to retreat again, this time leaving the village unharmed. Liam and Zyra stood together, watching them vanish into the forest. "You see," Zyra whispered, "bond strong." Liam smiled, feeling the truth of her words deep in his chest. "Stronger than ever," he replied, exploring deeper connection after the battle. Liam decided it was time to teach Zyra about deeper human connections, emotions that could not be conveyed through instincts alone. They sat by a calm river, the water reflecting the stars that were still faint in the early evening. "Zyra," Liam said carefully, "humans. We have ways of showing trust and care that go beyond fighting or surviving. Sometimes it's in small things. A touch, a word, a promise." She tilted her head. "Promise?" "Yes," Liam said. "A promise is when you tell someone you will protect them, that you care. You will be with them, even if things are hard." Zyra repeated the word slowly, tasting it. She touched her chest, then his, looping her fingers together. Liam understood instantly. She was promising using her instinctive gesture, but now it carried the human meaning he had just explained. "I keep promise," she said softly. Liam nodded, feeling a warmth spread through him. "And I keep mine." Learning together over the next few days, Liam and Zyra continued their lessons. Zyra learned to express feelings in ways humans could understand, while Liam learned to interpret her instinctive gestures and signals. They practiced daily routines. Together, gathering water, tending plants, observing the forest. Zyra's instincts guided Liam, helping him notice things he would have missed: a hidden path, a predator's spoor, the subtle shift of weather patterns. Liam's presence helped Zyra feel safe, allowing her to explore emotions she had never considered before. She began to smile more, laugh more, and even show affection in subtle ways, resting her hand on his arm, brushing his shoulder lightly, or leaning against him when the wind was cold. The emotional moment one evening, as the twin moons of Erythra rose in the sky, Liam and Zira sat atop a hill overlooking the village. The battle scars were healing, and the villagers moved about their tasks with renewed energy. Zira turned to Liam. Her golden eyes reflected the moon's eye. "Understand." "Now," she said quietly. "Bond. Not only fight, bond, trust, care." Liam smiled. "Exactly. And you've taught me too. Your instincts, your courage. Shows me a world I didn't know existed. I feel connected to you. More than I expected." For a moment, they just sat there, hands lightly touching, watching the moon's rise. No words were needed. The bond they had formed was clear, unbreakable, and full of trust. A new understanding the next day. Liam and Zira ventured further into the forest. They moved slowly, exploring places neither had seen before. Liam pointed out plants, streams, and creatures, explaining their uses and behaviors. Zira showed him how her species could sense danger and read the subtle vibrations of the forest. At one point, they came across a grove of glowing flowers. Zira picked one, then plucked another, and placed it in Liam's hand. He looked at her, a gift. He asked, she nodded, smiling softly. Bond. Honor. Liam understood. The gift was her way of showing respect and connection, a gesture of both instinct and learned emotion. He held the flower carefully, then placed it in his satchel. "Thank you, Zira," he said. "I will honor it, and you." Her golden eyes glimmered. That night, as they returned to the village, Liam realized something profound. Their bond was no longer just survival or instinct. It had grown into understanding, respect, and mutual care. A quiet promise back at the village, the elder approached. Liam and Zira. He placed his hands on theirs, a ritual of recognition and blessing. Even without understanding all the words, Liam felt the weight of the moment. Zira had chosen him, not just instinctively, but with awareness. He had chosen her in return. As the villagers celebrated quietly around the fire, Liam and Zira sat, together, hands clasped. The bond was now clear, not only as partners in protection, but as equals in trust, understanding, and respect. "I promise," Liam whispered, "to stay with you, Zira, whatever comes." She pressed her hand against his chest and smiled. "I promise too." The twin moons of Erythra rose high above them, bathing the forest in soft light. For the first time, Liam felt completely at peace, connected, understood, and ready to face whatever came next. Together with Zira, the bond they shared was no longer a question, it was a truth. And in the quiet of the alien night, under the glow of two moons, the human and the alien girl knew that their connection had become something far greater than instinct, far greater than survival. It was a true partnership, unbreakable and enduring. The sky over Erythra burned orange that morning, streaked with clouds shaped like long ribbons. Liam stood at the edge of the village, tightening the straps on his gear. He had grown used to the alien world's strange beauty, but today there was a tension in the air. Zira was beside him, her golden eyes scanning the horizon. She had not smiled once since waking up. "Something wrong?" Liam asked, even though he knew she wouldn't understand every word. She tapped her ear, then pointed toward the forest. "Here." Liam listened. At first, he heard nothing beyond. The usual soft hum of insects and the distant bubbling of a stream. But then, faintly, there came a low guttural sound, like a growl, carried on the wind. Signs of troubles. Eurus' village elder approached, speaking quickly in their native tongue. The other villagers gathered, some clutching tools or spears, made from crystal-tipped wood. Liam didn't know the details, but the tone was unmistakable. Danger was coming. Zira grabbed his arm. "Hunters," she said in broken English, her voice low. "Bad." Liam frowned. "Predators." She shook her head. "Not animal people." That made his stomach tighten. If they were dealing with hostile alien hunters, this could turn ugly fast. The elder gestured toward the forest and spoke again, pointing at Liam and Zira together. Liam caught a single word repeated twice. It sounded like protect. Into the forest within the hour. Liam and Zyra moved into the tree line, following the trail of the sound they'd heard earlier. Liam carried his rifle slung low, ready but not aggressive. Zyra moved silently beside him, her bare feet barely making a sound. The forest was dense here, the silver-leafed branches creating strange patterns of light. The air felt heavier, and the growls they had heard earlier were now closer. Suddenly, Zyra raised her hand, signaling him to stop. She crouched low, pointing toward a patch of tall bluegrass ahead. Through the stalks, Liam saw them, 3. Tall, thin aliens with jagged armor made from bone and metal. Their faces were hidden behind masks shaped like snarling beasts. Each carried a weapon that looked part spear, part rifle. The hunters moved with slow confidence, scanning the ground for tracks. "They're tracking someone," Liam whispered. Zyra's eyes were sharp. "Tracking us." The first clash won. Of the hunters turned, locking eyes with Liam through the grass. A sharp cry rang out, and the alien raised his weapon. Liam dove aside just as a blast of energy scorched the ground where he had been standing. Zyra moved like lightning, grabbing Liam's arm and pulling him deeper into the forest. They weaved between trees, dodging the hunters' shots. Liam returned fire when he could, hitting one of the hunters' armor and forcing them to take cover. They reached a fallen log, using it as a barrier. Liam crouched behind it, reloading. His breathing was steady, his training kicking in, but he could feel Zyra's hand gripping his shoulder tightly. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, though her eyes were still wide. "Right. Fight together." "Yeah," Liam said with a quick grin. "We do." Working as one, the hunters advance, fanning out to surround them. Liam quickly realized they couldn't win just by trading shots. The hunters knew the terrain too well. He looked at Zyra. "Your instincts, can you get us behind them?" She didn't fully understand his words, but she understood his gesture. Nodding, she motioned for him to follow and slipped into the underbrush. Liam kept close, moving silently despite his gear. Zyra led him through a series of twisting paths, using her knowledge of the forest to hide their movement. Within minutes, they emerged behind the hunters. Liam took aim at the nearest one and fired. The shot struck the alien's weapon, shattering it. The hunter let out a cry of rage and turned, only to be met with Zyra's swift strike. She used a vine tipped with crystal, snapping it across his helmet and knocking him off balance. The other hunters reacted fast, but now the advantage was gone. Liam and Zyra fought side by side, driving them back with a mix of precision shots and quick, agile strikes. The turning point after several minutes of fighting. The hunters retreated, vanishing into the deeper forest. Liam lowered his rifle, breathing heavily. "They'll be back," he said grimly. Zyra nodded, scanning the trees. "They hunt for bond-breakers." Liam frowned. "Bond-breakers?" She touched her chest, then his. "They take, separate." Understanding hit him like a cold wave. These hunters didn't just attack at random, they targeted bonded pairs, tearing them apart for reasons Liam couldn't guess. And Zyra, in her mind, had already chosen him. "They came for you," Liam said quietly. Her golden eyes met his. "For us." Preparing for the next attack back at the village, the elder listened to their account, his face grave. Liam didn't need to understand every word to know the hunters were a known threat. The villagers began reinforcing the perimeter with sharpened stakes and woven barriers of vine. Liam checked his equipment and shared what little he could: defensive positioning, signal calls, and how to move in pairs for better protection. Zyra stayed close, watching his every move. She was no longer the shy, curious girl he had met. Days ago, her expression was sharper now, her steps purposeful. She wasn't afraid, she was ready. That night, they sat by the fire again, but the mood was different. The stars above were just as bright, but Liam could feel the weight of what might come. Zyra leaned closer. "We protect." Liam smiled. Faintly, yet. "We protect." The final confrontation, the attack, came before dawn. The hunters struck from two sides, using the forest shadows to mask their approach. Energy bolts lit up the darkness as the village woke in chaos. Liam grabbed his rifle and pulled Zyra behind a barrier. "Stay low," he called. But Zyra wasn't hiding. She darted out to warn others, pulling a child away from the line of fire. Liam covered her, taking down one of the hunters with a precise shot to the leg. They fought together, moving as if they had trained for years. Liam's human tactics and Zyra's instinctive awareness of her surroundings made them unpredictable. When the hunters tried to corner them, Zyra led Liam through a narrow gap between huts, circling behind the attackers. Liam took out another one with a burst of fire. Zyra's quick strike disarmed the last with their leader down. The remaining hunters fled into the forest. Victory and understanding when the fighting ended. The village erupted in relieved cheers. The elder approached Liam and Zyra, speaking solemn words and touching his forehead to theirs, a gesture of deep respect. Zyra turned to Liam, her golden eyes soft now. "See, Bond?" "Strong." Liam looked at her, really seeing her. Fought for him as fiercely as he had fought for her. She had trusted him completely in the face of danger. "Yeah," he said quietly, "stronger than I thought." The promise as the sun rose, painting the silver leaves gold. Liam and Zyra stood together at the edge of the village. "They'll come again someday," Liam said. "Yes," Zyra agreed. "But we, ready?" Liam smiled. "Always." And that moment, with the village safe and the bond between them unshaken, he knew he wasn't just protecting her anymore. He was protecting them. Liam Hayes adjusted the straps of his lightweight combat armor. His boots sank into the soft blue grass with a quiet crunch. It was his third week stationed here, far from Earth, far from the noisy bases and the crowded fleets. He had been sent to scout and map the nearby valleys for signs of sentient life. He didn't expect to find anything. The last 3 days had been nothing but endless grasslands, crystal streams, and the occasional herd of 6-legged animals. But his instincts told him today was different. As he moved through the valley, he caught sight of movement. Something small, fast, and unlike anything he'd seen before. Liam crouched. His visor zoomed in. There between the silver leaf trees was a figure, humanoid in shape, but clearly alien. She stood no taller than his chest, her skin a soft pearl white that seemed to glow faintly in the fading light. Long strands of shimmering, violet hair fell around her face. Her eyes were huge and bright, like 2 pools of molten gold. She was watching him. Liam's first thought was, don't scare her. He slowly removed his helmet, letting her see his face. "Hey there," he said softly, though he knew she couldn't understand his language. The alien girl tilted her head, her golden eyes narrowing in curiosity. She stepped forward, her bare feet silent against the grass. She carried no weapon, only a necklace of carved blue stones. Liam noticed her breathing quicken. Her gaze moved over him, the armor, strange human build, and then she said something in a melodic, almost musical voice. The words were alien, but her tone carried wonder, not fear. "I don't know what you're saying," Liam replied, keeping his voice gentle, "but I'm not here to hurt you." She blinked slowly, then took another step closer. Her eyes locked on his hand as he held it out, palm up. Cautiously, she mirrored the gesture, pressing her smaller hand into his. Contact was electric, not literally, but in the way it made Liam's chest tighten. Her skin was cool and impossibly smooth, her fingers delicate. She spoke again, this time more confidently, as if testing the sound of her own voice around him. Then she smiled, a small, hesitant curve of her lips, and pointed to herself. "Zyra," she said clearly. "Zyra," Liam repeated, nodding. Then he pointed to himself. "Liam." Her smile widened. "Atch!" She seemed delighted that he had understood. The curiosity for the next hour. They walked together, neither able to speak the other's language, but somehow understanding enough through gestures and expressions. She showed him a stream that glowed faintly in the dark, the water swirling with tiny blue lights. She picked a silver leaf from a tree and tucked it behind his ear, laughing softly when it caught the light. Liam noticed that she kept glancing at him, not in suspicion, but with an intensity he couldn't quite name. It wasn't fear, it was more like fascination. And something else, a kind of searching, as if she was trying to figure out what he meant to her. At one point, Zira stopped and tapped her own chest, then tapped his. She tilted her head, her golden eyes curious, as if asking, "Are you like me?" Liam shook his head slightly. "No. I'm from far away." He gestured toward the sky. Her gaze followed his hand upward to the darkening heavens. For a moment she was still, then she stepped closer and rested her palm lightly against his chest, plate right over his heart. The gesture was soft, almost instinctive. It made Liam pause. Something in her touch felt deliberate, like it carried meaning in her culture. He didn't know what it meant, but it felt personal. A strange request when they reached the edge of a small, hidden settlement, round huts woven from glowing vines. Other aliens noticed them. Most stared in surprise at the sight of a human. Some whispered among themselves. Zira ignored them, taking Liam's hand and leading him to a central fire pit where the air smelled of herbs and roasted fruit. An older alien, perhaps a village elder, approached and spoke to Zira in rapid, flowing words. Zira answered quickly, pointing at Liam, her tone firm. The elder's eyes widened in surprise but said nothing more. Liam didn't know what they were saying, but he could tell Zira was defending his presence here. She was making it clear she wanted him to stay. She turned back to him, her eyes glowing in the firelight. Then slowly, she pointed to herself, then to him again, and made a looping gesture between them, as if connecting them with an invisible thread. "Bond," she said, the word strangely clear, as if she had learned it long ago, but rarely used it. Liam blinked. "Bond?" She nodded eagerly, repeating the gesture. "Bond? With me." The words sent a jolt through him. It wasn't just curiosity. She was asking for something more. She didn't understand human customs, but she clearly had some instinct, or a tradition that drove her to choose him. Misunderstanding and care, Liam knew he had to be careful. She was innocent in her understanding of humans. To her, bonding might mean something simple, a lifelong friendship, a tribal pact, or even a shared responsibility. It might also mean something deeper in her culture, like choosing a mate. He crouched down to her level, looking her in the eyes. "Zira, I don't think you know what you're asking." But hesitated, then smiled gently. "I'll stay for now. I'll learn. Maybe you'll learn about me too." She tilted her head, clearly not understanding every word, but she seemed to read his expression. Her smile softened, and she reached out to take his hand again, gripping it tightly as if afraid he might disappear. Nightfall that night, the village prepared a small meal for him. Zira stayed by his side, the entire time guiding him through the unfamiliar food. She laughed when he made a face at a sour-tasting fruit, then gave him a sweeter one from her own plate. When the fire dimmed and the stars filled the sky, Zira pointed at the constellations and spoke their names in her language. Liam repeated them clumsily, making her giggle. It was strange. They were from two completely different worlds. Yet sitting there under the alien stars, it felt right. The silent promise as the villagers drifted to their huts. Zira led Liam to a small shelter. She pointed at it, then at him, making it clear this would be his resting place. Before leaving, she hesitated at the entrance. Her golden eyes searched his face, and she spoke softly, almost like a vow. "Bond," she whispered again. Liam watched her go, his chest tightening. He didn't fully understand her yet, but he knew one thing: he couldn't just walk away. She was different, special, and somehow, in the short time they'd known each other, she had chosen him. Far away in the silver-leaf forest, a pair of unseen eyes watched the human and alien girl. The night was peaceful, but danger was never. Far on this planet, and Liam knew whatever Bond meant in her world, he was already feeling the pull.